Hello and welcome to Bird Talk Radio. I am your host, Joshua Martin. I'll be going over the games, the scores, and, everything Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds. Now let's start the show. Hello and welcome to another edition of Bird Talk Radio. I am your host, Joshua Martin. First things first, just updated news because everyone's heard the news about Damar Hamlin. Obviously, prayers up for him. But latest on that CNN this morning, 8:31, by Elizabeth Wolf and Adrienne Brodia. It says, Damar Hamlin's doctors are working to get him breathing without a ventilator after his mid-game cardiac arrest left him in critical condition. And I just got this from ESPN 1046. It says, Hamlin showing progress. Damar Hamlin remains in critical condition, but doctors saw promising signs of progress overnight, according to a friend. So, we just hope the best for him, and that's all I really want to say. But kicking off, what happened earlier in the week as well, too, Dallas and Tennessee. Tennessee played Josh Dobbs because Ryan Tannehill's out and they didn't want to play Malik Willis. So they had Josh Dobbs come in and he did decent, but just not good enough because the Cowboys had I don't know. Dallas came out here, Dak Prescott, 282 yards, 29-41, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It wasn't anything great, but Tennessee just couldn't come out with the win. I know Derrick Henry was out too as well. The leading rusher for Tennessee was Hassan Haskins, 40 rushing yards, 12 carries. Tennessee's kind of in shambles right now. Just these past 5-6 games, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries and slowly going downhill in their standings. Jacksonville, obviously the complete opposite. Trevor Lawrence is finally finding his foot in the professional league. Doug Peterson's doing an absolutely amazing job working with him, bringing him into the light, and Jacksonville's probably going to win the AFC South. Going to Sunday, though, not a playoff implication. Arizona versus Atlanta, both teams that are out of the playoffs right now. Atlanta did win that one 20-19, just barely a win over their fourth-string quarterback for Arizona in David Blau. Desmond Ridder, Atlanta's QB draft pick, the last NFL draft, 169 passing yards, 19-26. He came from Cincinnati. Did not play the greatest, to say the least. Jacksonville and Houston. Now, this is, like I said, Jacksonville's on the rise. Trevor Lawrence did not play the greatest this past game against Houston. 152 passing yards, 17-21, 1 interception. That was all he had, but they're still they need to win next week, and they have the division in lock. I don't know if they have the playoff victory yet. Let me check it real quick. But yeah, they're still in contention with Tennessee. But if they win this next week 18, they win the AFC South and they clinch a playoff berth as well. Denver and Kansas City. Denver's first game without Nathan. I can't remember the head coach's name. That's how bad he was. He only lasted 15 games. It was literally his first season coaching for that team, and they already got rid of him. Russell Wilson kind of looked a little better. Like I say, he looked like prime Russ, but he looked a little better out there. 222 passing yards, 26-38, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But they're way into Kansas City, and they didn't hold back. They played a good game against Kansas City. They lost, but they only lost 27-24. Patrick Mahomes, though, 328 passing yards, 29-42, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. And I know he's probably going to win the MVP. I'll do a little rant because I have my little Jalen Hurts bobblehead right here. But I'm going to do a little rant when I talk about the Eagles because we saw what happened these past 2 games. Now, I understand the Dallas game was a good battle offensively, but this past Saints game, you really get to see why Jalen Hurts is MVP. Moving on to a big game, though, Carolina and Tampa Bay, the battle for the NFC South. That was a game both of them needed to win, but Buccaneers, Carolina started off hot. They were up 14-0, but Tom Brady comes back. Mike Evans is the story of that game. 207 receiving yards, 10 receptions, and 3 receiving touchdowns. Tom Brady, 432 passing yards, 34-45, 3 touchdowns, obviously, to Mike Evans. And they got the win over Carolina, and they win the NFC South with that victory. They won it 30-24. Sam Darnold played pretty good, too. Sam Darnold, 341 passing yards, 23-37, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. But Tom Brady, he's back in the playoffs. I don't know what to say. He's most likely going against the 5 seed, which is the Dallas Cowboys as of right now. It's not in Dallas because Tampa Bay did win their division. Dallas still has a chance of winning the division, yes, because the Eagles, they need to win against the Giants. I believe if they lose against the Giants and the Cowboys win, they win the division. But as of right now, Dallas is the 5 seed, and they will be going into Tampa playing in the first round of the wild card. Playoff implication for Washington was this past week as well, but now they're out of it. They played Cleveland, and I don't know why they put in Carson Wentz. I know Taylor Heineke's not a starting QB, and I know they picked up Carson Wentz on the offseason to be the guy. but Carson Wentz comes in with huge implications to send the Washington. I mean, they needed to win this game, and they're out of it now because they lost and the Packers won. But Carson Wentz, 143 passing yards, 16-28, and 3 interceptions. Oh my! It was a terrible game for him. Deshaun Watson didn't even have a greatest game. He had 3 touchdowns, but he only had 169 passing yards, and he went 9 of 18. 9 passes, but he still got 3 touchdowns somehow. They got the win in that one, 24-10 over Washington, and like I said, Washington is out of the playoffs. One team I would really like to see in the playoffs is the Detroit Lions. They got a huge win over the Chicago Bears, 41-10, and the Detroit won. Jared Goff, 255 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 21-29. Elite quarterback playing right there. Jamal Williams, 144 passing yards, 144 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Really good by him. But Justin Fields, if he gets, I don't know how short he is. I think he has over 1,100 rushing yards so far on the season, okay? This is noggin talk, so I don't know how great it is, but he's so close on beating Lamar Jackson's MVP season of rushing yards. But where can we look at the difference between the two? Because the Chicago Bears, I believe, are 3-14 right now, 3-13 right now on the season, 3-13. And Lamar Jackson's MVP season with 1,200 rushing yards and breaking Michael Vick's record by 200 yards, whatever. He took that team to the playoffs. He couldn't do a deep run with it, but I don't know how to compare the two. But Justin Fields is just having an outstanding season on his feet, and it shows what we can do with that guy. Just absolutely amazing. If you want to pull up the first image of Gardner Minshew, we had Philly going against the New Orleans Saints. Okay, now I can start my little rant, actually. Gardner Minshew is not bad. He's not bad. But whoever says that You put any quarterback in this offense and it works. They need to look at this last game, and not really the Cowboys game, but Jalen Hurts is MVP of the season if he does not go down. He should be MVP of the season right now, but because of this stupid 2 games out, and obviously Patrick Mahomes having these outstanding games, they're probably going to give it to Mahomes, and because he's Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. But Jalen Hurts is outstanding, and he's the reason why we're doing so good in the season. He's the reason why we're about to clinch the #1 seed. I really don't like him running the ball all the time. I said this before, because running the ball, QBs don't take hits as often as these other positions. So if they get a big hit, it's much more tremendous than losing like a wide receiver or a running back, because the QB is the main guy out on the field. You want him to be the captain out all the time out there. He can't do much sitting on the sideline with a headphone on. But we go out against the Saints. You pick Jalen Hurts in this offense against the Saints at home too. We probably win this game 35 to. I'll still give them the 20 points because defense is defense, but 35 to 20 probably. Gardner Minshew, 274 passing yards, 18 to 32, 1 touchdown and 1 interception as well too. Devontae Smith had a great game. A.J. Brown had a beautiful receiving touchdown, but that was the only receiving touchdown of the game, and it was a deep pass. He lost his defender and just caught it wide open. Basically, it wasn't like a walk-in touchdown, but it was a good touchdown. One guy that really hurt us this past game, if you go to the next image, is Taysom Hill. There was a lot of, third down conversions, or just these small runs to give the Saints a whole new set of downs, and Taysom Hill just dominated us with those stupid wildcat runs. It was terrible. Andy Dalton didn't play the greatest, though. 204 passing yards, 18 to 22. We did have an interception on that game. But we need to win next week. We play the Giants. We already have a playoff berth, yes, but we win next week. We clinch the 1 seed, and we have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which I really, really would like to see happen. Moving on to Miami and New England. That was actually a pretty good game, pretty close game. Huge playoff implications, that one as well, too. Teddy Bridgewater came in. He started the game, but he did not finish the game. He went out with an injury. I believe it was a hand injury that he went out with. And then Skylar Thompson comes in for Miami. Doesn't really get it done because he doesn't have a lot of reps as a third-string quarterback. But Mac Jones, 203 passing yards, 20-33, 2 touchdowns. It was a good battle. The only thing is just New England came out to win 23-21 over the Miami Dolphins, and New England now has that last wild card spot. If New England wins next week, they clinch that last spot, but they need to lose, and Miami plays the Jets, so it should not be a tough game for Miami next week. They win next week, they have a chance. Indianapolis and the New York Giants. Congratulations to the Giants. They won over the Colts 38-10, and with that win, they have a playoff berth. They're in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Daniel Jones did really good. 177 passing yards. Watch this. 177 passing yards, 1924, 2 passing touchdowns. Okay, the passing. He's a quarterback, right? He's supposed to be doing that. And then we go to the rushing leader of that game, not Saquon. Daniel Jones, 91 rushing yards, 11 carries, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, there were boos when they drafted him, and I can see why. I mean, you get a quarterback from Duke in the first round. That's kind of bizarre. But he's kind of shown himself out, and especially Brian Daboll putting that team together to a playoff showcase, or whatever you want to call it. But very exciting to see that. I think the Giants found a new quarterback, and think they can stick with Daniel Jones for now. He's not bad. He's actually looking pretty good for them. There's the music from the dance studio. Jets in Seattle. Huge game for the Jets. Did not come out with the win, though. Geno Smith, quarterback for the Seahawks, 183 passing yards, 18 to 29, 2 passing touchdowns. And they got the victory over the Jets, 23-6. And with that victory, the Jets are officially out of playoff contention. Seahawks still have a chance for the wild card spot. They're tied with Detroit, and they're tied with Green Bay. Green Bay does have that last and final slot, but I believe Green Bay, they play Detroit Week 18. Huge game between both of them because they have the same record, fighting for that last spot. I'm really hoping Detroit wins, but huge game there. Seattle still has a chance, though. That's the main implication. Huge game, San Francisco. Vegas was already out. The Raiders did have a chance, but they took Derek Carr out. He's out for the season. Nothing due to injury. They just took him out for the season. He may be on a new team next year. Probably go to the Colts. Devontae Adams, don't know what's going to happen with him as well because I know he came to the Raiders specifically for playing with his old college buddy, Derek Carr. So I don't know what's going to happen over there. But San Francisco versus Las Vegas Raiders, really good game, went into overtime. San Francisco came out with the win, though. Brock Purdy, just another amazing game, 284 passing yards, 22 of 35, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, though. And then Christian McCaffrey, just outstanding game. As always, 121 rushing yards off of 19 carries and 1 rushing touchdown as well, too. Did very good for all you fantasy players right now that are in the playoffs, especially in the championship game, like me. I know someone in there has Christian McCaffrey. I got 2 players that I'm not going to say anything about, but if they played, I would be in the lead right now. I'm down 20 points. I didn't get to play Josh Allen, Jamar Chase because we know why. Sad news, but it's whatever. It's whatever. All right, Minnesota and Green Bay. Huge game for Green Bay because it was all up to them with Washington losing. It was only up to Green Bay now to clinch a playoff grab. I can't get that word. I don't know what it is, but huge win, 41-17 over the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, the leading receiver for the Vikings, Jalen Naylor. It wasn't even Justin Jefferson. Jair Alexander had Justin Jefferson on lockdown this past game, which was really surprising to see. Justin Jefferson was on pace to have a 2,000-yard receiving season. No one has ever done that before in NFL history. We were about to see history this past 2 games, but Jair Alexander put him on lockdown. Rams versus Chargers. Chargers already in the playoffs. Just another win to have a better security, a better mentality going into playoffs, getting this team in shape and in unison with one another, whatever. Win over the Rams, though, 31-10. Justin Herbert played amazing, 212 passing yards, 21-28, 2 passing touchdowns. Austin Eckler had a beautiful game as well, 222 rushing yards, 10 carries, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh against Baltimore. Baltimore is... Oh, they're in the playoffs. I'm sorry. They clinched a playoff berth. That's it, playoff berth. Baltimore's already in the playoffs, I guess. So even with that loss against Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett had a beautiful last game-winning drive, I believe it was. Had passed to Najee Harris to win it. Najee Harris, 111 rushing yards. Kenny Pickett, 168 passing yards, 15-27, that 1 touchdown. They got the win over Baltimore, 16-13. Pittsburgh is not out of it either. They don't have the greatest chances in the world, but they are not out of it as well. And then Monday night, I'm not going to talk much about it. We all know what happened. And just, again, prayers, again, for Damar Hamlin. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to talk about college football because we had the playoffs this past weekend. Two beautiful games. I'm going to give you my top 5 teams and a little bit of NBA talk because the Nets are on the rise. All right, we'll be right back.
In a world.
There's everyone. I'm your host, Daniel.
That is terrible.
Where movies and trivia collide.
I'm a vampire.
Twilight.
2 ridiculously good-looking game show hosts.
I'm your host, Daniel.
And I am Joshua Martin.
Will tackle the challenge of being the best at movie trivia.
All right, this is about a board game that comes to life.
This guy repeats his day over and over and over again.
The power of Christ compels you.
Movie Wars.
Hello, and welcome back to Bird Talk Radio. I am your host, Joshua Martin. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about what happened college playoffs. So if you want to pull up the image, we had TCU versus Michigan the first game. Just both games were absolutely outstanding. This one was probably, I don't want to say the better of the two, but they had more exciting scenery. I don't know what you want to call it. Max Duggan, TCU quarterback, 14 to 29, 225 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions as well, too. But J.J. McCarthy, quarterback right there for Michigan, he had kind of the same game, 20 to 34, 343 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It was a back-and-forth battle this whole time. And at halftime, it looked like TCU was just going to run away with it, 21-6. And then Michigan comes out and they try and they keep fighting, but they just keep giving up these big plays that TCU was just showcasing out on them. I mean, there was a point it was 41-38, okay? And then TCU comes back and they do like this little screenplay and they had no one deep. They did a little screenplay, 76 yards down the field they score, and TCU takes the lead 48-38, and that's kind of like the downhill of the game for Michigan. After that, it was just all TCU, but congratulations to TCU for making it into the championship game. They will go against the Georgia Bulldogs. I'll talk about that one right now as well if we can switch to the next image. Ohio State against Georgia Bulldogs, another outstanding game. 42-41, Georgia won it, but C.J. Stroud, I know Bryce Young is probably going to, quarterback for Bama is probably going to be the number 1 overall pick, but do not look past this man, C.J. Stroud. 22 of 34, 348 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns of the game. Stetson Bennett didn't do bad either. I don't understand why this man, Stetson Bennett, is not a high draft pick. Obviously, college is different from NFL, and obviously he's surrounded by nothing but the best players in the college right now. But 23 of 34, 398 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and he did have 1 interception. But, I mean, he's still leading this team into a championship game, and he's probably going to win back-to-back. I know Georgia has the best players in the nation, but he's still the main guy out there leading this team. It all led down to this one kick for Ohio State. It was like a 50-plus yard kick. Time was running out. I mean, it was New Year's was about to hit. It was about to be New Year's at the same time, too. I think he kicked it, and then literally 10 seconds later, it was the ball dropped or something like that. But tough kick for that man. And Georgia just comes out with the win, 42-41 over Ohio State Buckeyes. What I really wanted to see, I wanted to see Ohio State versus Michigan championship. That would be the ultimate game of all time. But we're going to see Georgia against TCU. That game is going to be played, I think, January 9th, Monday at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN channel. All right, I'll talk about my top 5 teams real quick, and then I'll go into a little basketball talk as well. So if we pull that up, it's a little shaky right now. I have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1 because they have been on a streak right now. Patrick Mahomes is on a MVP race right now. He's probably number 1 in the rankings right now for that because Hurts being out these past 2 games. And then I got the Bengals at number 2. I had the Buffalo Bills at number 2. I put them down to 5 because I don't want to say I lost trust in Josh Allen, but if he doesn't have that home field advantage, I don't think he can make a deep playoff run. Now, let's see what happens with that. I may be wrong, but I think Cincinnati has the best chance of winning the AFC again. And the only reason I say that is because Joe Burrow has a different mentality than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And his connections with all his receivers are just absolutely amazing. Some of the throws that he makes, and I understand he has some terrible throws too because he tries to make these tight throws all the time. They don't work all the time. A lot of them are intercepted, but I think the Bengals have a better chance. I think the Bills have the best chance over the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are playing a better game right now, though. But I think the Bengals have the best chance of winning the AFC. And then I got the Eagles at 3 because when Hurts comes back, he should be coming back against the Giants. We should be back to our normal selves. And then the 49ers I have at the 4th spot because Brock Purdy is not a rookie. He's coming out there like he's been playing in the league for a long time. They got Christian McCaffrey. Everyone's healthy on that team. Debo should be coming back soon for playoffs. So that team is one to look out for, definitely. And then, like I said, the Buffalo Bills at number 5. We'll see what happens, especially with what happened Monday. Hopefully, mentality, they're fine. But we'll just see what happens with them. And then last but not least, a little bit of NBA talk. The Celtics, they're in the lead still in the Eastern Conference, 26-12 record. But look at this, Brooklyn Nets, 25 of 12, okay? The beginning of the season, they started out very sluggish. I mean, they had not a new team, but they're still working with a new team. They're working with Ben Simmons. He didn't want to play in the playoffs last year because he's take that as what you will. But Nets are on a 12-game win streak. In basketball, they're in a 12-game win streak. Absolutely amazing. Home, they're 13-5, and they've just been on the rise these past couple games. Bucks are obviously another team to look out for, and Cleveland Cavaliers too, because Donovan Mitchell just had a 71-point game. Absolutely dominating. They're 24-12, so they're not even that far behind at all. Sixers are finally on the rise a little bit too. And then in the Western Conference, we have the Denver Nuggets, 24-13, kind of the same record. Memphis Grizzlies, we have 23-13 as well. Ja Morant's obviously having a beautiful season, and then Zion's having a good season for the Pelicans too, who's 23-14 as well. Dallas Mavericks, they're on the rise as well too, because Luka Doncic is probably going to win MVP. It's either him or Jokic. If Jokic three-peats the MVP, we're probably going to see international players go top 10 this next NBA draft. But Doncic, we saw that 60, 21, and 10 triple-double game he had. There's no way you're stopping this man. And there's a video I saw. If you want to see a NBA star next to like a normal person, let me see the size of this guy. There was a video. Okay, he's not the tallest guy in the world. There's a guy named Tyler from Dude Perfect, okay? He's 5 feet tall, 9 inches high, and he was playing, I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw this video of him playing one-on-one with Luka. If you see this video, you can see the difference between a professional and just an average player playing basketball. It's pretty cool to see. Yeah, just watch it. It's absolutely amazing. So this has been Bird Talk Radio. I'm your host, Joshua Martin. If you want to get in contact with me, birdtalkradio2022@gmail.com, or you can go to Facebook, Bird Talk Radio 2022 there. Instagram, I haven't been uploading anything out there at all. I mean, if you want to message me there, you can. I got to look it up real quick. If you want to go on Instagram, it's Bird Talk Radio. So you can find me there as well too. And that's about it. You can catch me next week, either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have no idea when I'm going to go again, but just catch me next week, and I'll see y'all later.
Thank you for watching Bird Talk Radio. Again, I am your host, Joshua Martin. If you want to contact me or be on the show, just email me at birdtalkradio2022@gmail.com, or you can call in during the show at 888-994-4995 in Studio A. Have a wonderful day, and remember, go Birds.